Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BAMA Football on YouTube with an injury report regarding the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, Nick Saban said Deonte Lawson and Terrence Ferguson have been able to practice this week going into this game against Texas A&M. Now, if we rewind to a couple weeks ago, each Terrence Ferguson and Deonte Lawson went out against Ole Miss and missed the game against Mississippi State. Here's Coach Saban with that injury report from his SEC teleconference.
Both guys are able to practice. We probably won't know how effective they'll be for the game until later in the week.
Now, Coach Saban was also asked about Alabama wide receiver Jermaine Burton, who only saw 9 snaps against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Here's Coach Saban talking about his wide receiver on Wednesday.
I happened to be in Starkville over the weekend. Didn't see a whole lot of Jermaine Burton, Coach. Was wondering what led to that, and more or less how's the week of practice gone for Jermaine, Coach?
Yeah, he's been, a little bit banged up, and, we were going to try to spot him in the game and get him through the game if we could, and hopefully he'll be better this week.
Texas A&M has an offensive coordinator that everybody is familiar with in Bobby Petrino. Coach Saban was asked about Bobby Petrino and what he sees from Petrino's offense, and also asked about what stands out about Texas A&M from this SEC teleconference. Here's Coach Saban talking about the offense and Texas A&M as a whole.
Well, they play hard. They're a very physical team. They run the ball well on offense. They got really good passing game. They got really good skill guys, good back. Quarterback's playing well for them. The offensive line is good. Defensively, they're really, really good up front. Create a lot of issues and problems with some of the pressures and stunts that they run, with very good players doing it. They're good in the back end. That's why they're the number one, defensive team in the SEC. And, they're solid as a rock on special teams. So there's not a lot of weaknesses in this team at all.
Next up is Jimbo Fisher's complete SEC teleconference, followed by Nick Saban's complete SEC teleconference call from Wednesday, October 4th. Please hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys being here and enjoying the content leading up to Alabama and Texas A&M, which will be 2:30 Central Time at College Station on CBS.
Yes, very proud of our guys being able to go on the road up to Dallas against Arkansas. It was a very physical football team in lines of scrimmage. Guys, we were able to overcome things defensively. I thought we played a really good football game. We're physical up front. We able to make tackles for loss. And we had 15 and 7 sacks. But the more important thing, the way they did it, was the discipline they did it with by trying to keep KJ in the pocket. We all know he's a great player and a hard guy to do, and that's one of the big things they're able to create. But we were able to cover well, too. We played with good discipline in the secondary. Didn't come off of guys when he did scramble. So, and we're able to tackle well. And Sanders, their big physical back, and we were able to get on the ground and play offensively. We played very well early, hit a couple of little lulls in the game. We got to eliminate those. But I thought we left some points on the board, significant points on the board that we got to get better at. Special teams got a great job from Anias, getting great returns. Got one for a touchdown, another big one, and getting him space. And we finally got him loose and things we did. We punted the ball well. Unfortunately, missed a couple field goals, which was unfortunate. We haven't been doing. Randy will get back in the groove there, and had one kickoff slip on us one time. We got in the crease, but we got to play well because in all 3 phases. But very proud of that because of who we're fixing to play. Is Alabama, as I say, has no weaknesses. They're a tremendous football team. They're coached very well. Arguably the best that it's ever done it, and what he's done. I've sat in those meetings. I know how detailed he is. I know how meticulous he is, and how he goes about. And he'll have his team ready to play, and there's no doubt. And they're a big physical team in both lines of scrimmage. Their D lines and O lines are huge and physical. Their O line, you got young tackles. Man, he played great against Mississippi State, and Latham's phenomenal. Their inside guys are physical. The backs, McCollum and Roydell can really run that football, can catch it. 3 down guys. Milroe is getting better and better. Not only, he's scrambling, keeping his head up, making plays on the scramble, and of course, when he does take off, man, it's a different level. He's as good athletes on their football team, and that's not knocking anybody else. The guy's phenomenal. Great speed. Vaughn, Burton, and all the receivers can catch the football. Nia Black, the tight ends, almost all those guys are averaging 18, 19, 20, 21 yards a catch. They get the ball down the field with great shots and able to run the football, and the tight ends are physical. Defensively, great fronts. Dallas Turner can rush like heck. 41 is a physical guy inside, can rush and be physical. 92 is great. The backers, I mean, one backer gets hurt, the other one then makes 14 tackles. I mean, it's just they just keep replacing guys. Great experience. Secondary, 2 corners as good as you're going to play. I mean, Kool-Aid and Terrion Arnold they're physical, they're athletic, and Terry, of course. I mean, and Kool-Aid also the punt returner, great in that regard. The young safety Downs is outstanding, can cover hits. Ranked at 6, that transfer from UAB is really good. Malachi Moore, just all he does is play great football, gets them lined up, and makes play after play after play. I mean, they're sound all the way through, especially their punter and kicker may be as good as there is in the country. They don't miss, and they hit them a mile. They kick it out of the end zone where they want to. Return game is very good. I mean, we're going to play a great football game. They're a great team. They're a physical team. They're a competitive team and very well coached. So, they'll have them ready to go. Questions?
First is Carter Carroll of 24/7 Sports. Carter, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we have you.
Okay. Hey, Jimbo, I wanted to ask you about something that it's kind of come up during the season, I think on the Pulse and a couple videos, you talking to the team, and you've mentioned a few different times wanting them to change the narrative. I'm wondering kind of the narrative, your perception of what it is with your team and what you'd like to make it, how this game coming up can help change it for you.
Your narrative is what you perceive. I mean, what you want people to just perceive of your program. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care what other people think. And I'm not worried about what other people think or don't know what to know. I haven't asked anybody else. But my part of your narrative, when you change the narrative, you change what you think of yourself. I'm worried about ourselves from within. The confidence you have within yourself, the confidence and belief you have in yourself and what you're doing and what you're standing for. I can say the outside narrative doesn't concern me or I don't think about it. I'm talking about to our players, and I talk about them, about their narrative within each other and how they change. Because sometimes guys don't always see the narrative of themselves, of who they want and what they want people to think of them, and how they, and it's a hard work to be a good person, be a good player, represent the right things, and that's what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. And last one for me, I wanted to ask about the 2021 game. Zach Calzada, I was planning to talk to him this week. I'm wondering just what you remember about his performance that game and how he really, rose to the occasion.
Well, I think played with great consistency in the game. And that's what it had. Listen, Alabama, and I say every time you play these teams, you always hear me, we got to fight for inches, we got to eliminate their inches. They don't give you things. You have to, and if you give them opportunities, man, they capitalize on them. And that's what I say about great teams. Most big games or any game are lost, not won. And what you say, well, when you make a mistake, people are so consistent in what they do, they take advantage of your mistakes. And that's what one of the things he did in that game. He allowed us to stay ahead of the chains and play well, and we played really well in the first half. And then I remember we got in the law, and then he made a heck of a drive, made a couple of really good plays, and we made some plays around him on that drive to tie it up. And then he got his knee hurt, and then I remember the toughness and competitiveness he stayed in the game and competed with that allowed us to get down and get the field goal in the last drive. That's what I remember. But the thing he did was play with great consistency, and got the ball to the playmakers he had and competed at a high level.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Thank you.
Next is Ryan Hunt of AP and Kelly.
Hey, Coach, you talked about containing KJ Jefferson last week. Do you plan on using that same game plan as you take on Jalen Milroe?
Well, I can't tell you that. But no, listen, these guys, quarterbacks that have, they're dual threat guys that can throw it and run it, you have to be have great perception and discipline about where you are in the game and in the pocket when you're rushing. You can't get way above them. You can't get on two different levels. You can't, if you're supposed to be in a B or an A gap or a man, you can't just loop and give up an extra yard and a half of width in the pocket, because these guys will key. And he's a little different. KJ hurts you. This guy, when he takes off, man, you may never catch him. This guy can really run and make plays, but he's doing a great job of scrambling with his eyes up and making plays too. So I think you have to be multiple in your looks, because the blocking schemes can adjust to that. So I think the different looks you have to give him, the different ways you have to come at him, but the whole thing is you still have to keep him in the pocket as far as when you rush him, and not give him outlets where he can step up and take off. You got to get to him and do it, but you can't just do it recklessly.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next is Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Coach, always appreciate the time. On that note, in terms of your defense, assignment-oriented defense, how well would you assess how well your defense has played this year, Coach?
Really well, and I think that's the biggest thing we're doing in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I said, why are you playing so well? I mean, you're tightening down the details. We're not changing things. That we ain't actually just changed the scheme. We're doing the scheme better, and we understand it with a lot more consistency and the way you have to do it, and I think they played extremely well.
So with all that being said, I'd like to flip over to Alabama's defense. I know you've talked pretty glowingly on it. Is this as good a Nick Saban defense as you've seen that he's had in Tuscaloosa, Coach?
It looks like all of them. I mean, they're always good. I mean, and I say that out of respect, because they can affect you on all 3 levels. The backers can run and tackle and play in space. They got rush guys up front. They play the run extremely well. And they have secondary guys can not only tackle you, blitz you, get to you, but then they can cover you and make plays on the ball. And I mean, they're in all 3 levels, whether it's defensive line, linebackers, and whether they're nickels or dimes when they gotten in the game and they're in their dime rabbits and all that stuff. And the secondary, they're as good as there is, and they play great football.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
That's going to be all for today, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Hello.
Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. While we wait on questions, could you please take a moment to comment on your team as you travel to Texas A&M on Saturday?
Yeah, this is obviously a great challenge for our team. On the road, difficult environment. They got, the number 1 defensive team in the SEC and, score 38.5 points a game on offense. So real challenge, a lot of good players, well-coached team. Jimbo does a great job with their team. And it's going to be a real challenge for us. But, that's kind of why you come to a place like this, so you play in big games like this.
First up is Cody Godwin of 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Coach, was curious what your overall assessment is of wide receiver usage through the first 5 games this season.
Well, we want to be able to feature the skill guys that we have, and it's been a work in progress for us in the passing game, and we want to continue to work on timing in the passing game. We want to work on getting the ball to some of our skill guys who we think are really good players. We haven't done that as consistently as we'd like, but I think we're making progress, and we're going to continue to work on it.
Next is Chip Howard of KZNE Radio.
Coach, what jumps out at you when you turn the tape on and look at A&M?
Well, they play hard. They're a very physical team. They run the ball well on offense. They got really good passing game. They got really good skill guys, good back. Quarterback's playing well for them. The offensive line is good. Defensively, they're really, really good up front. Create a lot of issues and problems with some of the pressures and stunts that they run, with very good players doing it. They're good in the back end. That's why they're the number 1, defensive team in the SEC, and they're solid as a rock on special teams. So there's not a lot of weaknesses in this team at all.
How has the personality of your team developed this first half of the season, and is it still a work in progress in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're getting better every week, but our level of consistency has not been what it needs to be in terms of, I use the term shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit too much. And if we could eliminate those bad plays, which, sometimes we're creating for ourselves, not necessarily the other team creating, because when you play good teams, they're going to create enough issues for you. So if you can eliminate the issues you're causing for yourself, then, you're going to have a better chance to be more consistent.
Thank you.
Next is Glenn Gilbo of Outkick.
Hey, Coach, what do you notice different maybe about the offense under Coach Petrino, and what have you learned to look out for when you go against him?
Yeah, well, he's a great offensive coach. There's no doubt. I do see some similarities from, in the run game as well as the passing game and more utilization of various personnel groups, which, causes you a lot of different things that you got to work on in practice to prepare for. The passing game is sound and solid. They've always been good that way. I think the combination of him and Jimbo is been very, very productive for them offensively in terms of how they utilize their players.
Thanks.
Next is Andrew Stefaniak of Locked On Aggies.
Gotten a lot of pressure over these last few weeks in their previous matchups, and I just wanted to see what your thoughts are on that and what you've seen on the tape from that front seven.
No, the front seven is really, really good. They've got some individual players who are really good pass rushers. And then, they create some circumstances where, they're going to get those individual guys, one-on-one with people relative to the stunts in the games. And they're very well coached on defense. And they got some really, really good players up front, run and pass. So this is going to be the biggest challenge we've had up front, no doubt, all season long.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Next is Griffin McVeigh of On 3.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering if you had any kind of injury update heading into the game, particularly with Deonte Lawson and Terrence Ferguson.
Both guys are able to practice. We probably won't know how effective they'll be for the game until later in the week.
Next is Ryan Hunt of the AP and Kelly Show.
Hey, Coach. What has been done with the offensive line as the season has progressed to improve your running game?
Well, I think that the offensive line has the right mentality. They've, tried to be physical, tried to play with, good toughness up front. I think the thing that we've improved on is just fundamental technique, footworks, getting second step on the ground, hand placement, be a little bit more effective in getting movement because of, better technique. So I think that's probably helped us the most. And I think that, we've kind of been able to figure out, who we are a little bit relative to what we need to do on offense to be successful.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach will finish you up with Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Coach, always appreciate the time, sir. To the running back room, be it Jace, Roydell, Jim, or Justice, how much have you seen that running back room grow this fall, Coach?
The running back room's great. They were good to start with. They're all good guys. They all work hard every day in practice. They're all talented guys. So we feel good about the depth at that position and have a lot of confidence in each and every one of those guys.
And I happened to be in Starkville over the weekend. Didn't see a whole lot of Jermaine Burton, Coach. Was wondering what led to that, and more or less how's the week of practice gone for Jermaine, Coach?
Yeah, he's been, a little bit banged up, and, we were going to try to spot him in the game and get him through the game if we could, and hopefully he'll be better this week.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.